What's going on, everybody? It's Matt Tamar here. Talk about this Russia situation uh, real quick. I know people don't want to listen to or hear this, but yeah. So let's talk about this Russia situation. Um, this has been in the movements have happened at least for the past 9 months, at least 9 months, and this was eventually going to happen. Small straight shooter, and the only way you're going to be affected is through gasoline or diesel prices and natural gas prices, especially when it comes to heating your home for the winter. So, if your exports from Russia are based on energy when it's most needed, why on earth would you launch an unneeded military occupation? Well, let's just use invasion in air quotes, right? Let's use invasion in air quotes because you don't have enough forces to even take Ukraine. You don't. And going to the edges and like, well, these people are sympathetic to us, so we're just going to move our troops in there and we're just going to deal with the people because we speak the same language. It's like, that's still called an invasion, dude. No matter how you look at it, it's still called an invasion. No, you didn't send a whole bunch of bottles of vodka. You sent military troops. So here's what's going to happen. And here's what always does happen. You think sanctions are not powerful. Dude, sanctions can cause a lot of problems. Because right now there's a supply chain shortage, and when these sanctions come down, you see business like things to be running at an optimal pace. They don't want these type of lapses in actual judgment, so they'll just find new people to get their services from, as well as the imports. Same problem. Okay, these are our normal trading partners. Okay, now because remember they downed a passenger airliner before. Russia did during the last conflict. Yes, a passenger airliner was shot down by a ground to air missile. So if you're doing erratic stuff like invading people, who's going to want to fly over your airspace? I can guarantee you Ukraine does not have that level of importance. If that was the case, other people would have invaded already. But but this is a pride thing for this dude. You're never getting the old Soviet bloc back, man. That's a failed dream. It's over. Eventually, because everybody has an inner circle. Then they're going to find ways to start disrupting the actual companies of his inner circle and him as well. That is also on the table, and it always happens. So when people say, "Oh, they need to put troops on the ground," why? Why? Only thing you have to do is just make a couple phone calls. Hey, man, stop doing business with that dude. Hey, man, you can no longer do business with that person right there. We want you to do business with these people over here. And then you force everybody's hand. North Korea, obviously an ally, not doing very well. You think they want to do missile tests and all this kind of stuff to signify that they're on Russia's side right now? No. Why? They'll get sanctions too. What about China? You think they're going to be doing military exercises and all this kind of stuff, trying to show up for Russia? No. They don't want sanctions either. You think people are going to be jumping out the window trying to help Russia right now? No, because they want to do business in the future. Like he knows full well that he don't have the forces to take it. He didn't even have the forces to take Georgia when he was in there. They turned up the heat on these sanctions, and eventually he folded. And they're going to do the same thing again. Yes, it was a prideful thing to go in there. There was no reason to go in there. No reason. Because most military occupations and operations are about economics. So if you could cause a overwhelming number of times economic damage by doing something stupid, why would you do it in the first place? Yes, the military is going to do whatever the leaders tell them to do. It doesn't mean that they got to like it. It was almost the same in Iraq and Afghanistan. We had enough to occupy, but not enough to control the actual area. Yeah, so for the Russia situation, it's just that you're going to cause all this economic problems for everybody in the area. Who's going to want to team up with you after you've done that? Now, this is the second time that you've done a military operation in a place that you're not even going to be there very long. You're not even going to be there very long. But what's going on? Snuggles and just being Jack, class clips and crap. Yeah, so that's what's going on with the Russia situation, man. I know people can't talk about it within the space because they can't. That's fine. But this is how simple and how stupid this whole issue is, man. Because the diesel prices were low, then Biden released oil for the strategic petroleum reserve to bring the actual numbers down because there was a supply chain issue. So when you flood the actual market with oil, the prices come down. But this actual occupation was going to be there for a while. That's why the oil prices stayed up immediately after they went down. Oh, snuggles. So that's the only way you're going to be affected. You just got a guy who's just going to keep invading, keep invading. I don't know why. His time's up. These ideas are toast. They're not going to go anywhere. There's nothing you're going to be able to do here except for cause everybody in the area a bunch of economic problems that they don't need. Remember, you're supposed to be invading places for economic gain. It's gone, Doug. There's no reason to do this stuff if there's no economic gain to it. Taking over those areas is dumb. God, it's ridiculous. And those people like, oh man, so when are we sending troops? Send troops for what? So they can get in a skirmish that they don't need to be in? No. Now, it would be pretty smart if somebody knew everything that I knew in advance and just started betting against it. You know, because right now natural gas is about to go through the roof. It's about to go through the roof if it hasn't already. I heard it's supposed to go about 50% by the end of the week. Oh, we're already at the end of the week. It's Friday. Yeah. So that's where we at on the Russia situation, man. Yes. Economic sanctions hurt pride too. You want to do this prideful action? Economic sanctions hurt you. It hurt your businesses. It hurts your ability for people to do any type of business with you in the future. Okay, you already sell this stuff to North Korea and China. That's obvious. But how are you going to get new countries to do business with you? So, Dick, you caused all this for no reason. Yeah, when they went to Georgia and they were drag racing tanks down the street and all that stupid shit, when they were occupying Georgia, it was the same dumb thing too. It made no sense. So no, we don't need to militarily go into anywhere. You just let this dude do his thing, man. And after this is over, they're going to keep some of them sanctions in place. That's why you keep some of the sanctions in place afterwards. That's what I'm saying, Doug. Listen, man, we already had enough problems in this area anyway. And I still think that diesel should still be a lot higher, but it isn't because of the strategic petroleum reserve release. Because right now, diesel should be well over $5 a gallon. It's not. Maybe it is on the East Coast, and maybe it is on the West Coast. But this didn't need to happen. This whole Russia thing, it just didn't need to happen. And that's not the only part of it. Remember the last administration cozying up to Russia? Yeah, that's part of that too. Remember when people had a favorable opinion of Putin because of the last administration? That's based on that too. So this thing isn't going to escalate, but there's four people that you need to watch. Starting from the one that is um, least obvious to the one that's more obvious. Number four, the UN Security Council. You need to see what they're going to be able to do about this because the United States already said that we're not sending military troops in it. Oh, I know. It's the perfect time to do it. The second one, as Mr. Habit said, is Russia. What else further they're going to do? Because I don't think that they're just going to go here and just do this. They're going to have to either keep advancing or withdraw. They're obviously going to withdraw. The next one is the former president of the United States. I want to see how he's going to embarrass America on the large stage while this is going on. Because you know that guy's going to open his mouth and say something super crazy. Sure does, doesn't it? Because as a former president of the United States can still garner some support for this guy, even for this dumbass action, we're in a world of trouble. Yeah, but nobody want to watch that snuggle. But yeah, I'll do that from time to time. Yeah, true. And it's the winter time when you don't produce anything. If you don't produce anything but energy, and you start a war when people actually need your energy, they're just going to go somewhere else. Why would you run your allies and your competitor into other people's hands over these small areas in Ukraine? It doesn't make any sense. Even when they went into Georgia, there's no strategic long term anything going on in Georgia that would suggest that you do something like that. This is why the Iraq and Afghanistan occupation was bad. It set the stage for people to do this stuff everywhere and make up their own BS reasons for doing so. We definitely didn't need to go into Iraq or Afghanistan. And once you do something like that, this is what you set up for people to do. Whatever they want to, for whatever reason they want to. Y'all need to learn from this, man, because there's a ton of money being made by things switching up right now because of this dude. Think about how many companies in Russia that export things to other countries. Now their supply line chains is going to be cut short, or not even have a supply chain at all. Those employees are not going to be able to eat at those corporations because they're merely from the country, and nobody wants to be seen doing business with a hostile power. I don't. I don't think so. I mean, there's some pretty good people that's on the market. It could do that, but it's a national plan, though, straight shooter, to actually go in that direction. Because if you want solar power right now, there's companies everywhere. There's a lot of good ones out of Arizona, but there has to be like a national plan or even a statewide plan. I would say yes for people who want to modernize, but a lot of people don't want to modernize though. So I'm not sure how that would work. Russia's GDP is not number one, dude. Oh my! I don't know where you get that from, but those are the actual issues that are happening with this thing right here. Yes, economic sanctions are going to hurt. They're going to hurt a lot. They're going to hurt a lot of people within that country. And it could cause people who are there within Russia to start offshoring what they actually do to bring the stuff to other customers and not even make the stuff within Russia. You see, none of this stuff works. That's what I'm saying. Omega Dread channel. Yeah, man. White on white crime, man. Where are the parents? Putin need to pull his pants up, man. Oh man, yeah, man. You're just gonna be affected energy price wise here in the United States. So that's how you're gonna be affected at. Unless you're actually in the military and be in that area. I know some people are going in that area now. They're not. They're just waiting to see. They're just setting up and waiting to see. Yeah, man, like that's where we're at with this. You know what? Let's try to do that. Let's try to do that. Russia invading Ukraine is incredibly bad because you can now not get to the hot Ukrainian women because of Russia right now. And the dating market is going to be affected by Putin doing these actions. How dare you stop us from talking about your women while you're occupying an area when we know that you down aircraft and stuff? Now we can't even fly into Ukraine now. You can connect the two. Outside of natural gas and diesel gasoline prices, I don't see nothing else really being affected by that. Now you could see because what they also do, which is kind of dumb, is they close embassies in each other's countries and all that kind of stuff. But that kind of stuff don't affect people though. I mean, it affects international business relations, but it doesn't affect people. Yeah, Rail can no longer give away plane tickets to go to Ukraine. Yeah. Oh my god. Because I know a lot of Russian people, and none of those people really like once they left, like the actual Russia man, like bro, they really turned up on talking a whole lot of stuff about Putin, man. Ain't nobody trying to go back over there and fighting none of that stuff, man. Bro, listen, once they got to the money over here, they done left all that stuff alone. I can guarantee you that most people are not thinking, hey, I would love to invade Ukraine. To do like that, that's something that people are just not into right now, man. They do the same thing about the Castros too when Cubans come over here, man. Like, whoa, down. Yeah, man. Like once you be able to get to the money, and the only thing you got to do is show up to work, and there's no bureaucracy that can really hold you back. Hell yeah, you hate where you came from. Yes, you're supposed to talk a whole bunch of nonsense about where you came from, not realizing that your own work and ability can be able to move you forward, not a government that automatically stops you from doing everything. I'm glad you corrected that, man, because I because I know I didn't have to go to the numbers for you to believe that. Yeah, I mean, like those people lived under real communism, like for real, not manosphere communism, because because manosphere communism is a is a construct that is not to be discussed anywhere else on the planet but the manosphere. So yeah, those people lived through some real communism. You're right about that. No, they stopped them rap concerts from going on over there too. They seen that people start acting a fool. Like, yeah, this ain't good for the culture, man. No more selling this nonsense over here. Yeah, they do that. Now, what you don't want with communism is what actually is what China is doing. If they can get everybody on the same page and start creating data scientists and engineers and stuff by the year, yeah, that's a bad deal for everybody. Well, who's not producing on the level that they can? Uh, could you expand on that? No, no, no. That is happening. That always is what happens. That is always what happens. I mean, like Halliburton was doing business with Iran while the government was trying to threaten Iran with war. Halliburton was doing all types of business in Iraq. Like, yes, it always an opportunity to do international business whenever these things go on, man. Yeah, it's an enormous opportunity on both sides, but it's a horrific deal for everybody who's currently invested, and that's the problem. I can guarantee you that most people in Russia are not thinking about entering the Ukraine. Like most people in the United States wasn't thinking about going into Iraq and Afghanistan. But Judith Miller and her circulated story to the New York Times and subsequently to the media is how we got our ass in that situation in the first place. So that's all I got on that particular topic. I just don't want nobody to panic over something that don't need to be panicked on. And it's really not the president's fault in any of this stuff. It has a lot to do with the last administration. Oh man, nah, it's it's not that big a deal. It isn't. It's unfortunate because who's gonna want to fly over Russian airspace? I wouldn't. So you're stopping a lot of international trips and all types of stuff that's going on, man, because of this nonsense. You see, that's also what happens. Defense spending increases. Somehow it's wasteful spending when it comes to people, but it's not wasteful spending to just add money to the Pentagon. Yeah, in full disclosure, I do work for the military industrial complex. So, no one's going to use a nuclear weapon. A nuclear weapon is a political tool. It is not an actual weapon to be used. Because normally, whenever you use a weapon, you want to use the land and the resources from the actual place after you bomb it in most cases. But having a weapon and being able to use it, it's nothing but political theater. No, I don't think no one's ever going to drop a nuclear weapon. I don't think that. Why? I mean, you can do the sanctions. You can cause a hell of a lot more economic devastation than it is trying to literally drop a weapon on somebody. You don't need to do that. Now, do I believe that some type of radical organization, not government sponsored, can actually unleash some kind of pain like that? Yes, I think that's far more likelier than the actual somebody dropping a nuclear weapon. Far more likely. Yeah, it's an excellent time to do business. But see, you got to be in position to take advantage of these things. That's what I'm saying, man. Like, Nobody's going to use something like that, man. But it's always something to scare people with and scare people about. But as long as you know about the actual issue at hand and actually know how these things work, you see that this stuff is very likely not to happen. Because if it was going to be used, the corporation would have used it against another corporation by now. I mean, but it did get the war over with pretty quick when we did use one. So, so with that said, I want to thank you guys for coming through. Your gasoline prices are going to stay high, unfortunately, and so will your natural gas bill. Will go through the roof. This is why you switch to propane because propane is going to start to go up too. Because look at propane as an alternative. And guess what happens when everybody rush into an alternative? That's right. The market goes up for that too. So it's going to be a cascade effect all over tons of other type of energy because people are going to try to get away from gasoline, diesel, natural gas. So expect solar, propane, everything else to slightly increase for that. Other than that, I can't see how you're going to be affected. I saw that, man. I was watching it this morning on Ramil's what was that? Patreon. Yeah, man. This ain't this big of a deal, man. And this is a Putin thing. This ain't a Russian policy thing. This ain't what the Russian people asked for thing. This is a Putin thing. Exclusively him. Nobody else. This is exclusively about him and his aspirations. And yes, this is why Germany decided to track down and jail all those people who had anything to do with the Nazi regime. They didn't really care. Because, yes, sometimes following orders is still illegal. I mean, it's really not him. That's why he got military advisors. Like, a lot of this stuff is not up to the president. He's surrounded by advisors that tell him what to do and what's the best course of action. He has very limited direction, but it's not unilaterally up to him. I mean, it can be under the wrong circumstances. But no, man, he's not going to put us in a position like that. We don't have the money. We don't have the resources. That's what I'm saying. A reasonable man. Like, look, he know full well that he can't take that area. He couldn't take Georgia. This is like your neighbor putting up a 2-car garage, so you build a 3-car garage. He get rid of his 3-car garage and get a 5-car garage. That's all this is. It's not practical, but at least he can say, "At least I tried. At least I did something." It's not going to work, but at least I did something. All right, man. Well, I want to thank you guys for coming through, and you guys have a nice one.